welcome to a 30-minute class focusing on the neck. And so this is this chakra-based series that's really focusing on the physical aspects of the space where the chakra, the energy center, lives. And so the Vishuddha throat chakra, obviously housed in the neck. So that's where we're going to focus. We're going to focus literally on strengthening and mobilizing the neck. And so to relate it, it's a little easier when we're down low in our chakras to kind of have this immediate understanding of how the physical relates to the energetic. But I'm going to dive into it a little more here, or just for a moment. The Vishuddha is the space of truth, honesty, and authenticity. And so how I want to kind of feel that in our body today is when we're uncomfortable in our body, it's hard to really be in your truth because you're agitated, you're awkward, things just don't feel right. So our neck connects our brain and our body, and it's a place that gets really tight. I think everyone can raise their hand and say, yeah, my neck feels tight. So what we're going to just focus on again is mobilization and strength of our neck in a way that hopefully it feels better when you're done with this class. And therefore that layer of aggravation or strain will be removed. And so, or lessened. So then you can just feel more like yourself, more honest, more authentic, more true. So I'm going to kind of leave it there. We do need one block, and I always like to talk about how I like the big blocks, but for this thing that we're going to do with the block, I actually need a thin block. If you don't have a block, you can still do the movement. If you have a book, that's totally fine. So you can do something like a book, a hard surface book, but we don't want that super thick because we're going to put our head on the block. On that note, actually, I'm going to use it to sit. Why not? We're going to come down to seated, comfortable cross-legged seat. And just take a moment to land without any movement at all. So this would be a good place to simply observe. Where in the body, could be anywhere head to toe, is there a little tension, a little physical tension? Maybe because I've been thinking about the neck, I feel it in my neck and my left shoulder, but it could be anywhere for you. So just do what you can without any movement to see if you can soften some of that tension. Inhale, expands around the area of tension. Exhale, softens it away. A couple more like that. Good. So start to just do some shoulder almost bounces. I want to call them bounces, not shrugs. So just a little bounce. And then maybe it goes a little bit into like a shoulder roll, either direction. Kind of just feels natural, I think, to go backwards first. And so how, just again, not overthinking it, not really forcing anything. How do these rolls kind of relate to your neck? Good, and then the same thing, maybe a little less of a bounce when you go forward. Good. And then we're going to drop the chin and just go into some neck circles. So chin to chest, left ear to shoulder, and circle. So you know that I like to include this simple neck mobility into a lot of practices. And I think it's also just a really good time to notice. Where do things feel sticky? What direction feels more sticky? What direction doesn't? Where else do I feel it? Chin to chest, other side, right ear, right shoulder. So what I mean by where else do I feel it is when I roll my neck, do I feel it in my shoulder, my arm, my chest, my back? Couple more. Good. Now bring your chin to your chest. Just let it kind of fall there. And I want you to sweep your chin over to your left shoulder. And then, so keeping it very close to your shoulder and your chest, and then sweep it over to your right. So this should feel, it's still mobilization, but it should feel a little different, like a little sticky. When we're doing that kind of free mobilization, we move around the sticky spots without even thinking about it, which isn't a bad thing. But when we stay really close, kind of follow a line, then all of a sudden we run into something. Let's do this 2 or 3 more times each side. Go ahead and then come on up. Going to take your left hand to your head, push it back. And so the hand and the head they serve a bunch of different purposes, that connection. There's the purpose of, and I'm telling you this now because we're going to do this a couple times throughout class. So one purpose is pushing the head into the hand so that the cervical spine kind of regains its curve. Another purpose is that the hand can support the head, so that you don't feel like your head is just kind of hanging. Sometimes that doesn't actually solve anything. It makes things worse. And then finally, the hand can add some traction. So when we do this stretch, I want a little bit of all of it. So you can kind of go at your own, whatever feels right for you, but start by pushing your head into your hand. Keep your head into your hand as you drop left ear, left shoulder. So here, head is pushing into hand. Where do you feel that? And then I want you to just kind of lift your chin up. Now, for me, as my chin goes higher, my hand is supporting my head. And then maybe move the chin down. At this point, I feel more like my hand is tractioning my neck. Let's do that 2 or 3 more times. And of course, when we're stretching the neck, it's not just about the neck. It's about the shoulders, the jaw, the skull, the arms, the chest. The neck's just the conduit. Okay, take one more breath. Then help your head back up. Maybe add a little bit of movement. Other side. So right hand, head, push into hand. So just feel that. Kind of turn Lean, push head into hand. How does this feel compared to the other side? And then lift up, chin up. Again, here I feel more support, hand to head. And then head, chin down. Here a little more traction. Couple cycles. Let's do one more full cycle. Help your head back up with your hand. And once again, a little bit of freedom. We're going to take this right into cow-cat. So go ahead and move into your hands and knees. You want to take a moment to kind of stretch the legs. I always like to get my legs lengthened before bending them again. And so I want you to just do kind of your normal or what you're familiar cow-cat. So open, exhale, close. Let's do this about 3 times, just nice breaths. Good. And now I want you to do the same thing, but I want you to articulate the very low and the very top of the spine. So that's your tailbone and your cervical spine. Inhale. And then same thing. Kind of move into your cat. And then tuck your tailbone. Draw your chin even a little closer to your tailbone. So now do that 3 more times. Inhale. Lift really at the edges, the tips of the spine. Exhale, same thing, other direction. Twice more. Good, and then come to neutral. And then start to bring left hip and left ear towards each other. And then right hip and right ear. We'll just jump right to kind of the final version. Like we did in cat-cow, we want the tips of the spine to kind of interact with each other. Let's do one more each side. Good, and then come into downward dog. So while you're here, take a moment to let your head hang. Don't overthink that, just let it happen. And I'll talk us through our next sequence, which should be really familiar to you. It's just a regular standing pose sequence. In there, we're going to focus on where we place our eyes. And the truth is that this was kind of built into a lot of the yoga poses, is this drishti, this gaze, where our eyes focus. And in that, it also is intentionally strengthening the neck. A lot of times I kind of let that part go as a directive, but today we're going to be super specific about it. So inhale, right leg high. Exhale, right foot through to hands, left knee down. Inhale, Anjaneyasana. So reach your arms up. Soften your shoulders, pull your belly in. And then from your back knee, I want your gaze to follow your fingertips. And I should have said, if any of these just don't work for you, don't do them. Just skip them and look straight ahead. So if available, follow fingertips, reaching to the sky. Take one more breath here. Inhale. On an exhale, follow fingertips down to the ground. Tuck your left knee. Get a really solid foundation. Inhale, reach arms up, high lunge. First, set up those legs. Right knee like a square, left leg strong. Arms in line with ears. Follow your gaze. And so I just kind of lost my balance. You might have too. See what happens when you change your gaze. Stay rooted in legs. And that's some of this upper chakra work too, is the trust that the lower half has it. Secured foundation, steadiness, so that you can look up a little higher. Take one more inhale. On an exhale, drop your left heel, bend your right knee, arms wide. In Warrior Two, take a moment to set your feet, get comfortable there, and then reach through your fingertips, gaze at the right middle finger tip of the fingers, and then maybe even just like a little past it. But your chin is truly in line with right middle finger. Everything else in the pose stays as is familiar. Notice what changes when we're really focused like this. Good. On an exhale, right forearm to thigh, left arm overhead. Look overhead at that left index finger. Kind of turn your left pinky down. Side angle pose. Allow for the gaze to follow. If you can't do this, don't do it. There's no reason to strain the neck more than needed. We're looking for strengthening here. Good. Inhale into Peaceful Warrior. I know we've had that right knee bent for a while. We're going to just stick with it. In your Peaceful Warrior, reach right arm up and then take your right hand to the back of your head. Look up past your right elbow and breathe. Good. Inhale, straighten right leg, reach right arm up. Exhale, right hand to shin, or maybe block. Block is good, highest level. And left arm to sky, left fingertips up. This is the one I usually teach. It's just kind of familiar in my practice. Look at the left fingertips to the sky. Take a big inhale. On an exhale, hand down, left heel lifts. Twist right arm up to sky. So you're changing the direction your neck is looking. Strengthening. On an exhale, hand down. Right leg back to plank, and then lower knees lower to belly. Sometimes I think chaturanga can strain or add tension to the neck. So we're going to skip that and instead do Sphinx pose here on the belly, collarbones open, head back. So about 3 breaths. On an exhale, place hands push through knees. Downward facing dog. Take a couple moments to mobilize the neck. Chin lifts. Relax. Inhale, left leg high. Exhale, left foot through to hands, right knee to the mat. Low lunge. Inhale, reach up first, get that foundation. Arms in line with ears, push right knee down. Pull belly in, lift up and look up. See what changes, not only in balance, but also in the physical structure, the connection points. That fascia connects heels to crown of head. So sometimes a stretch of the neck, you can feel it somewhere very different. Take one more breath. Inhale. Exhale, hands follow to the mat. Lift that right knee. Get really steady here as best you can. Rise up, high lunge. Same thing. Looking up. Find your foundation. And then stretch beyond that. Even if it's a little wobbly, widen the foot if needed. How does it change? Good. Inhale. And then exhale, warrior two. Arms wide. Gaze over left middle finger. Chin is centered with left middle finger. Gaze even goes beyond. Breathe. Everything else stays the same. Take an inhale. Exhale, right arm overhead. Look up at your pinky finger. Dial it down. Keep that left knee bent. What happens here? How does this change the pose? How does our gaze change the structure? Right heel to right finger, pinky finger. One more breath. And then inhale, peaceful. Stay in that left thigh if you can. Left hand to back of head. Dial your elbow up. Sink into left knee. Lift elbow up. Look past the elbow and breathe. Hand supports head here. Good. Inhale, straighten left leg, reach up. Exhale, left hand to the block. Ground that right heel. Lift right arm up. You're in triangle pose, looking past right fingertips. Big inhale. Full exhale. One more. Bend left knee, right hand plants. Lift that right heel. Twist left arm up, looking other direction. Past fingertips. On an exhale, hand down, left leg back. Exhale to your belly. Sphinx pose again. This time we'll do a little mobility with the neck. So a little bit of right and left. little bit of open and close. Good, and then move to downward dog. Let your head hang there. And then walk your feet halfway through. We're going to draw all the way up and move into a straddle. So we've got our feet up very wide, feet parallel to start. We're going to take the hands. This time we are going to interlace them, but the principles that we talked about before, traction, support, and some pushing back to rebuild your cervical spine curve. That's what we're looking for. So hands behind the head, draw your elbows up, start with some traction. And we're going to go just up and down in a fold. So when we do that, I want a little buoyancy in the knees, hinging at the hips, leading with heart, but really tractioning neck. So on an inhale, lift up, and on an exhale, kind of dive down. And then same thing, inhale, push into hands, traction up, exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. This is the last time. Exhale. Let the hands release and do some no's. And then some yeses. And then keep your feet as they are for now. Keep the knees a little bent. Left hand behind head, as if it was with that right hand, but just the left. Rise up. And then pull your heels in. Gonna bend the knees, toes out, heels in. Take the left hand and you kind of traction into the arm, reach your left elbow up, and then exhale, kind of draw it over. So this, we're gonna do a little bit of everything with that hand behind the neck. Support, traction. So this doesn't have to look like one thing. We're trying to kind of access those lines of connectivity all along the trunk, hips to heart, to neck to jaw. Let's do two more. Good. And then just fold back down. You can keep your heels in or kick your heels out for a moment. And then left hand behind your head. Come on up. I'm going to keep my heels in, toes out. And then same thing, right hand kind of plants. And you're going to inhale that left elbow up. And then, it's right elbow now. And then switch. And then inhale. Exhale. Keep going. Oh, maybe you get a little wobbly. Let's do one more. Good. This time you can kind of just let the hands go. Fold over the legs. Let the neck mobilize a little bit. And then come on to your knees. We're going to use that block. Again, this is about, 3 inches, 4 inches. And again, you can do this without. I actually, most of the time, do this exercise without a block, but I was reminded how wonderful it is to do with a block. So we'll kind of give both options. So you're going to come onto your back all the way down. And for sure, if you've got a ponytail, make sure that it's not directly behind your head. Want to move that out of the way. And you want to kind of think like as if you were coming into a bridge, but we're not going to do that yet. We will do it kind of to wrap up. And so now we want to move this block right behind. So notice if your chin's kind of dropping. You don't want that. Lift your chin. And with your chin lifted, where is the absolute, furthest spot that would be touching the ground? That's where we want the block, behind the skull. And so the first thing we're going to do, your arms can just kind of rest because I don't want your arms to do much. You're just going to push your head into the block so your upper back lifts any amount. It might not lift off the mat at all, and that's totally fine. So let's do this like 10 times. Not necessarily with the breath, but we do want to be controlled about it. So push and down. As you're doing this, if you feel like the height of the prop just isn't working for you, go lower, or not at all, just on the yoga mat is fine. Again, that's how I usually do this exercise. And so what we're doing is giving some pressure to the muscles around our spine to help rebuild that curve of the cervical spine. So about 3 more. And obviously, if you have true cervical spine issues, this is doctor territory. Let's do 1 more. Good. Take just a rest, maybe a little mobilization. And now we're going to do the same thing, but we're going to push, and then we're going to turn our chin to the left while pushing to center and down. So we're just going to do one side. So we'll go to the left for 10. Push, chin, up, down. Push, chin, up, down. Push, chin, up, down. Keep going. And I actually don't want to do a whole 10 because I'm feeling a little lopsided. So let's go ahead and come down. And we're going to do about 6 on the other side. So something that would be good would be do like 3 and 3, 3 and 3. I just didn't think about that. So go ahead and push, right, up, down. Push, right, up, down. Push, right, up, down. Let's do 3 more on your own. Great. Go ahead. Let's do 1 more. Now that you're down, let's do 1 more just straight up. Push. Hold for a breath. And release. Move the block out from underneath you. And then we're going to do a bridge pose to kind of just bring things into balance. So bring your heels a little closer to your hands. Feet parallel. Push your feet and tuck your tailbone to lift up. And then what I want is for you not to round your chin towards your chest, rather lift your chin up, push your head into the mat, no lifting of chest, of course. Just keeping that cervical spine a little bit active, a little present, the curve. And take another breath. One more breath. And roll down. Walk your feet away from you, widen the feet. Let your arms kind of come out like a V. And I want knees to fall one way, chin to fall the other. And switch. And switch. And switch. Good, and then the next time you come through center, just rest in constructive rest. So knees to the center, resting upon each other, feet on the ground. Maybe a little even hand to neck, just whether it's a massage or just kind of giving some presence there. Take a couple breaths, landing. Really suppose, roll to one side. Press all the way up. And sit with a tall spine, shoulders soft, head back. Just feel the energy flow through that channel. Hopefully it's a little bit more spacious, a little bit more free, a little more clear. Uncovering the ability to be a little more clear, honest, authentic in our own skin. Thanks for being here.